aliens disclosure. UFO 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 aliens disclosure. Let's go.
Okay, so, you sent over some stuff about UFOs, and yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like, every time I think I've heard it all, there's something else.
Right.
This is exactly why we're doing this deep dive into some of these whistleblower accounts and evidence that's out there. We're going to be talking about Ken Johnston,
Okay.
Jeremy Corbell, Robert Dean, and Michael Herrera.
Sounds good.
So should we just jump right in?
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's start with Ken Johnston. He's a former NASA contractor, was in charge of the Apollo mission photo archives.
Wow. I mean, that's
Pretty cool job.
a pretty amazing job.
Yeah, but his story, it takes kind of a turn, when he claims he was ordered to destroy photos showing what he called lunar anomalies.
Hold on. Destroy Apollo mission photos. I mean, like, what could be so bad that they didn't want the public to see?
Right.
What was he saying was in these photos?
Well, he claims there were structures
Structures.
and strange lights in some of these pictures, suggesting that, maybe something else is going on up there
Right.
that NASA wanted to keep under wraps.
Yeah. If that's true, that's crazy.
It's pretty wild to think about.
Yeah.
Imagine, you're the person who has to destroy evidence from this.
Yeah.
Monumental human achievement.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the greatest. I mean,
Exactly.
that's one of the things that just blows my mind about this whole topic is like, why?
Right.
Why all the secrecy?
What's the big deal?
What's so sensitive about it?
Right?
So Johnston was describing these structures inside of craters and lights.
Lights, things that just couldn't be explained with conventional, science. And he even claims...
Like, what do those even look like?
Well, he doesn't really go into too much detail, but he just says, like, things that are clearly not natural. And then he also claims that they airbrushed details out of the photos
Really?
before releasing them to the public.
Wow. I mean, if that's true, that's huge.
It's a big deal, right?
Yeah, it's a huge breach of public trust.
Exactly. Makes you wonder, like, who gets to decide what we know?
Yeah, and why?
And why?
Right.
What's the reasoning behind that? Now, it is worth noting that NASA has denied Johnston's claims.
Okay.
They say there was no manipulation of the photos, and what Johnston sees as anomalies are just natural features or, like artifacts of the imaging process, things like that.
Yeah.
So
it's hard, it's like, who do you believe? A guy who's saying he was ordered to destroy this stuff, or an organization that's known, I mean, I hate to say it, but known to not.
they haven't always been the most transparent.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a tough call. What do you think about this?
Well, I think it's really interesting, this back and forth, this push and pull between these whistleblowers, these individuals who are coming forward,
Right.
and these institutions, these powerful organizations like NASA.
Right.
It highlights this inherent skepticism that we often have
Yeah.
when we hear these stories.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this.
It's a David and Goliath situation, right? You got this individual
Yeah.
who's going up against this, like,
Right.
massive entity.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of courage to do that.
It is.
Knowing that
Knowing that you're probably going to be
you're going to be scrutinized and
ridiculed, discredited,
Yeah.
all of that.
But at the same time, if you just dismiss every whistleblower
Right.
as a hoax or a fabrication,
You might miss something important.
you might miss.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's this balance we have to strike.
Yeah. How do you strike that balance?
It's tough. I mean, you can't just believe everything you hear, but
Right.
you also can't just dismiss everything out of hand.
Right.
So it takes critical thinking,
Yeah.
looking at the evidence, considering different perspectives.
So with Johnston's case, I mean, it's like we're left with all these unanswered questions. Like, was he really told to destroy evidence?
Right.
Were there really these unexplained things in those photos?
Right.
And if so, what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
I mean, what does that mean about, the moon and
Yeah.
our place in the universe? I mean, that's a huge...
Big questions.
Yeah, those are huge questions.
Yeah. And I think those questions, the fact that they linger
Yeah.
for so many years, it speaks to the power of, of mystery and this human desire
Yeah.
to explore the unknown.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the things that's so fascinating about this whole
Yeah.
UFO thing is that it's like,
You want to know.
yeah, it's like
There's this puzzle.
yeah, every story is like a piece of a larger puzzle, and we
Uh-huh.
may never have the whole picture.
But each piece offers a little glimpse into,
A possibility.
Yeah.
A different way of looking at things.
and I think that's one of the things that we're going to find as we do this deep dive, is that there's all these different perspectives, and it's fascinating to me to consider all these
Yeah.
different viewpoints. So speaking of different viewpoints, let's talk about Jeremy Corbell,
Okay.
who's kind of a lightning rod
This is a bit controversial.
in the UFO community. So for people who don't know, who is Jeremy Corbell?
He's a filmmaker, investigative journalist.
Okay.
He's become kind of a major force in bringing, this evidence, this UFO evidence to the public.
He's got a very distinct style, right? It's really different from
Yeah, it's very different from Johnson. Johnson is kind of like,
Right.
I saw this, I was there. Corbell is more like,
Yeah.
I'm going to bring this information to you.
Yeah, he's a showman. I mean, he's good at what he does. He's a good storyteller.
Yeah. And some of this footage that he's released has really, made some waves.
It's gotten people talking.
Yeah, like the triangular UFO footage, for example. This video, allegedly captured by Navy personnel, shows a triangular shaped object hovering near a military ship. And it's not just one or two people who saw it. Reports say over 50 Marines witnessed this thing.
That's a lot of witnesses.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that the Pentagon actually confirmed the authenticity of this video.
Yeah, they said, yep, that's real. We don't know what it is.
So they're basically saying, yep, that's a real object. We don't know what it is. Like that's crazy. I mean, it lends credibility to.
It does. It opens up all these questions.
Yeah, it opens up a whole can of worms. It's like, if they're acknowledging that, then what else?
What else is out there?
Yeah.
Right? Where is this coming from? Why are they only now starting to acknowledge this?
Yeah. Right.
It's
a game changer in a way.
Yeah. So Corbell, he's been
pushing the boundaries.
He's been pushing the boundaries, yeah, and he's not afraid to
Challenge authority.
Yeah.
Rock the boat a little bit.
Yeah, he's definitely ruffled some feathers.
He has.
But you can't deny that he's been a big part of bringing this.
Yeah, he's helped to bring it into the mainstream. It's
Yeah.
not just this fringe
Right.
conspiracy theory anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's a big deal.
It is.
Because if we want to get answers, then we need to be able to talk about it
Openly.
and honestly.
Yeah. It can't just be whispers and rumors in
Right.
the shadows. We need to be able to have these conversations out in the open.
So, speaking of things that might have been whispers and rumors in the shadows, let's talk about Robert Dean.
Okay, Robert Dean. This is a fascinating guy.
Yeah.
So, he was a former U.S. Army Command Sergeant Major.
And he claimed to have access to some, super top secret information while he was working at NATO.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this is where things get really interesting. He claims he read a classified NATO document called the Assessment,
Okay.
which allegedly contained analysis of UFO sightings and stuff, and it basically concluded that extraterrestrials.
Wait, hold on. A document that says that aliens exist
Yeah, basically.
and that they're not a threat?
Right, they're not hostile.
I mean, why would they keep that a secret?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, what's the logic there?
Well, Dean believed that it was to prevent mass panic.
Okay.
Keep society stable.
Right.
Don't freak everybody out. He argued that governments were aware of this, of aliens, but chose to keep it quiet
Yeah.
because they were afraid of destabilizing everything.
Right. So kind of a paternalistic.
Kinda, yeah, we know what's best for you.
We know what's best.
Yeah, protect you from this knowledge.
Right. Interesting. So, is there any? I mean, obviously this is a bold claim.
Yeah, it's a big one.
So, has there been any pushback on that?
Oh yeah, a lot of skepticism.
Okay.
NATO denies that this document even exists.
Okay.
Critics question Dean's whole story, saying there's no evidence, he's making it all up. But, whether Dean's claims are true or not,
Right.
it raises these important questions.
Right.
About government secrecy,
Right.
about, the possibility of this hidden truth
Right.
about UFOs
Yeah.
and the public's right to know.
Yeah. I mean, do we have a right to know? I mean, that's a
There's
a whole other conversation.
ethical debate.
Yeah. It's it's like we're peeling back the layers of this onion.
Yeah.
And with each layer,
You get closer to the core.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then you also realize like how much.
How much you don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And speaking of layers, let's talk about Michael Herrera.
Okay. Michael Herrera. This is a wild story.
This one's interesting. So Herrera was a former Marine,
Okay.
and he claimed to have seen something pretty extraordinary while he was on a humanitarian mission in Indonesia.
Okay.
And, you know, this is where we start getting into the realm of like black budget programs
Wow.
and covert operations. So he encountered a UFO,
Okay.
but not just any UFO. This thing was octagonal, massive,
Wow.
and clearly man-made.
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 Mm.
And what's even more, you know, strange is that he says this craft was being guarded by
Right.
unmarked military personnel.
Like Black Ops type stuff?
Yeah, like Men in Black, kind
Yeah.
of, you know?
Wow.
And they threatened him and his team into silence.
Wow. So like he's confronted with this crazy advanced technology and then he's threatened to keep quiet about it.
Yeah, basically told, don't talk about this or else.
Wow. I mean, what could be going on that they don't want us to know about?
Right. What are they hiding?
What are they so afraid of?
Yeah.
Herrera's story, I think it really underscores this idea that
Yeah.
there are these layers of secrecy
Right.
within our own governments.
Right.
You know, these operations that are happening that we don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's scary to think that there might be, you know, groups out there that are operating with technology that we don't even know about
Right.
that could potentially be used for.
For good or for bad.
Right. Yeah. So it's a chilling thought, but I think it's important to think about.
It is. It's something we have to consider.
Yeah. So we've got destroyed evidence.
Right.
We've got controversial footage.
Yeah.
We've got classified documents
Mhm.
and covert operations. I mean, that's a lot to process.
It is.
What's the takeaway from all this? Like, how do we even begin to make sense of this?
Well, I think the takeaway is that the search for truth about UFOs is far from over. This is not a simple phenomenon. This is complex, it's multifaceted, and it's often, like we've been saying, shrouded in secrecy. But these whistleblowers, they're stories.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether we believe every single detail, they serve as a reminder that there's more to this story than we're being told.
Yeah. It's a call to keep questioning, you know, keep digging,
Keep an open mind.
yeah. Because the truth is out there somewhere.
Somewhere. Herrera's story, it really gets to like the heart of this whole UFO thing, you know? Like, is it all just people seeing things, you know, like misidentified objects? Or
Yeah.
or is there something more going on here, something we can't explain? And if there is something more, what does that mean? I mean, for like technology, for power, for our understanding of like reality itself.
It's mind-blowing to think about, you know, like if Herrera is telling the truth,
Yeah.
it means that there are groups out there operating with technology that's so advanced
Right.
that it would change everything.
It would rewrite the textbooks.
Yeah. And they're doing it in secret, potentially, with like
Unlimited resources.
unlimited resources.
Which is where this idea of black budget programs comes in.
Right.
So these are allegedly these covert government projects
Okay.
funded with money that's hidden from the public, right? It's not in the official budget.
Right.
And they often deal with this like really sensitive research and development.
So like experimental aircraft.
Yeah, like next generation aircraft,
Mhm.
advanced weapons.
Right,
Some
yeah.
people even believe like reverse engineered alien technology.
Ow.
It sounds like something out of a movie, but the fact that these programs exist, it's not really a secret, is it?
Right. I mean, we've seen glimpses of this through
Yeah.
declassified documents and
Whistleblower accounts
yeah.
over the years. So it's not necessarily the existence of these programs that's the issue.
Right.
It's the lack of transparency
Right.
and oversight.
That's a good point. I mean, if these programs are developing technology that could have a huge impact on humanity,
Right.
shouldn't we at least, you know, have some say in how it's being used? I mean, it's a question of
Accountability,
accountability and
transparency.
transparency. And I think it's especially relevant now. I mean, as we're entering this era of like
Rapid technological advancement.
rapid technological advancement. I mean, we're talking about
AI,
genetic engineering,
nanotechnology.
nanotechnology, all this stuff that could like fundamentally change
everything.
Yeah, it changed life as we know it.
Yeah.
And then you add the UFO phenomenon into the mix
Right.
with these claims of like alien technology and reverse engineering and secret government programs.
And a lot to take in.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's also exciting.
It is exciting.
I mean, it forces us to like think bigger, to challenge our assumptions.
Yeah.
And to consider things that might have seemed impossible.
Right.
Just a few years ago.
Yeah. I totally agree. It's like we're on the verge of
A new era of discovery.
yeah, like it's like the veil's being lifted and we're getting these glimpses of something
Yeah.
that's way more complex and extraordinary than we ever imagined.
Yeah, it's an exciting time.
And people like Herrera who are willing to speak out. I mean, they're
Playing a crucial role.
yeah, they're helping to push this
Push the conversation forward.
yeah, push the conversation forward. But let's talk about the risks involved. Herrera came forward under whistleblower protection. Like,
Yeah.
why is that so important?
Well, those protections are there to encourage people who know about wrongdoing
Right.
or illegal activity, to come forward and share what they know without being afraid
Right.
of what might happen to them.
Yeah, I mean, think about the pressure Herrera must have felt. I mean, he's accusing
He's living a cover-up.
a cover-up involving powerful people,
Yeah.
organizations.
Yeah, with a lot to lose.
A lot to lose. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of courage to do that.
It does, yeah. I mean, to speak out in those circumstances,
Yeah.
knowing that you could face like legal action,
Right.
or be blacklisted, or even
That's to your safety.
threats to your safety.
A big deal.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's why those protections are so important. They create a space where people can,
Feel safe
feel safe to share what they know without
fear.
fear.
And when you're dealing with something like this, claims that challenge the official narrative, these protections are even more important.
Right.
Because, I mean, these whistleblowers,
Yeah.
they might be the only sorts of information that we have.
It makes you wonder how many other people are out there who, have information, but they're too afraid to share it.
Yeah. And what kind of knowledge are we missing out on?
Right. What are we not hearing? What
Yeah.
are we not learning about?
Yeah.
It's a scary thought. But the fact that people like Herrera are coming forward
Right.
despite the risks, it gives me hope.
It does, yeah.
It suggests that there is this movement
Yeah.
towards transparency
Yeah.
and accountability.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
people are starting to realize that we have a right to know
Right.
what's going on,
Especially when it comes to something like this.
especially with technology.
Yeah.
That could potentially change the world.
Right. And it's not just about technology, right? It's about these really big questions. Like,
The big ones.
yeah, the big ones. Like, are we
Are
alone?
we alone in the universe?
What is reality?
What is our place in the cosmos?
These are questions that, humans have been asking for.
For centuries.
Yeah, for millennia.
Yeah.
And the UFO phenomenon, it taps into that, right? It makes us think about these.
It makes us question everything.
Yeah, it makes us question everything. So it's like we're at this
Crossroads. Yeah.
a crossroads in human history.
Where we're being confronted with like the limits of our current understanding.
Right.
And we have to embrace the possibility
Yeah.
that there might be something truly extraordinary out there.
Yeah.
It's exciting, but it's also, like you said, a little terrifying.
It's a little terrifying. I mean, to think that everything we thought we knew,
Could be wrong,
yeah, it could be wrong.
but maybe that's not such a bad thing.
Right. Maybe we
We need a
need
little shakeup.
Yeah, maybe we need a little shakeup to like
Break free from our limited perspective to see things in a new way.
So, speaking of seeing things in a new way, let's circle back to Robert Dean and his claims about the assessment. Yeah. So this alleged NATO document that he says confirms the existence of extraterrestrial life,
Right.
and that they're peaceful. I mean, this has been like a source of fascination and debate.
For years.
Yeah, for years.
It's what's interesting to me is not just the content of the document itself,
right.
but the implications of its suppression.
Yeah.
Like, if governments are hiding this information from us,
Yeah.
what does that say about their motives?
It raises the issue of trust, right? Like, if if they're keeping secrets of this magnitude, how can we trust them on anything?
Exactly.
I mean, like, what about climate change? Or
economic policy.
yeah, economic policy or public health.
Why? If they're willing to lie about this,
Yeah,
what else are they lying about?
right, exactly.
It erodes the foundation of a functioning democracy, I think.
Yeah, because we need transparency.
We need transparency. We need accountability
Right.
for informed decision making.
Yeah.
And when you have this level of secrecy,
Yeah.
it creates this environment of suspicion
Yeah.
and distrust.
right, where conspiracy theories flourish.
Exactly. And people feel alienated from the institutions that are supposed to represent them.
Oh, yeah. It's like a vicious cycle, right? The more secrecy there is.
The more distrust it breeds,
Yeah.
and the harder it becomes to have these open and honest conversations
Right.
about these important issues.
Right. And that's especially dangerous when you're talking about something like the UFO phenomenon.
Right.
Which could potentially be so transformative.
Exactly. So if
Yeah.
we want to understand this phenomenon,
Right.
if we want to know what it means for humanity, for our place in the universe,
Yeah.
we need to break free from this cycle
Yeah.
of secrecy and distrust.
We need to create a culture of open inquiry
Yeah.
where we're looking at the evidence.
Critically,
Yeah.
with different perspectives.
Yeah.
And where the pursuit of truth
Yeah.
is valued above all else.
That's a powerful vision. A world where we approach the unknown with curiosity.
With courage.
Yeah, with courage. And maybe that's the world that this whole UFO thing is pushing us toward.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
The UFO phenomenon, it challenges our preconceived notions.
Yeah.
It forces us to confront the limitations
Right.
of our current understanding,
Yeah, it's like a cosmic mirror.
reflecting back to us our own fears,
Right.
our hopes, our aspirations.
And looking in that mirror can be scary.
It can be unsettling,
Yeah.
but it can also be a catalyst for growth,
Yeah.
for expanding our awareness,
Right.
for evolving our consciousness.
And that's where the true value of exploring this lies, I think.
I agree. It's not just about finding answers.
Right.
It's about asking the right questions
Yeah. It's about pushing the boundaries.
of what we think we know
Yeah.
and embracing the mystery of what we don't know,
It's about remembering that we're part of something much bigger.
much bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
This vast and interconnected universe,
Yeah.
full of wonder
Yeah.
and possibility.
It's enough to make your head spin.
It is.
But sometimes I think it's good to have our heads spun a little bit, to be reminded that,
But we don't have all the answers.
yeah, that we don't have all the answers, that there's so much more out there to learn.
Discover.
Yeah, and maybe in that process of discovery,
Yeah.
we'll find something truly transformative.
It changes everything.
Yeah, that changes everything.
Now, before we go too far down the philosophical rabbit hole,
Yeah.
let's bring it back down to earth for a minute.
Okay.
We've been talking about all this advanced technology, covert operation,
Yeah.
government secrecy.
Yeah.
But what about the human element of all this?
You're right.
What about the people who claim to have seen these things?
Yeah.
What are their stories telling us?
That's a good point. I mean, we can get so caught up in the evidence and the debate
Yeah.
over authenticity that we forget that there are real people at the heart of these stories.
People who have had these experiences that have shaken them,
Yeah.
changed their perception of reality,
Yeah.
and left them with more questions than answers.
Yeah.
So it's important to remember that behind every UFO sighting, every whistleblower account,
Right.
every blurry video,
Yeah.
there's a human being
Yeah.
who's been impacted by this.
And we need to hear their stories.
And we need to hear their stories
Yeah.
and respect them.
It's about acknowledging their courage.
Their courage in coming forward.
Yeah.
Their willingness to share
Yeah.
their vulnerability.
Yeah. Putting themselves out there knowing
That they might be ridiculed,
yeah.
dismissed.
And recognizing that their stories, even if they challenge what we think we know,
Right.
can offer us valuable insights.
Into human perception.
Yay.
The power of belief.
Yeah.
The limits of our knowledge.
So, as we continue to explore this phenomenon, let's try to approach these stories.
With compassion.
Yeah, with compassion and empathy,
Yeah.
recognizing that this goes way beyond just data points and analysis.
This is about human experience.
Yeah.
With all its complexities,
Yeah.
contradictions,
Yeah.
and mysteries.
And mystery.
And sometimes it's in those mysteries,
Yeah.
those moments of uncertainty
Yeah.
and wonder,
Yeah.
that we find the most profound truths.
Beautifully said. So, let's delve into some of those mysteries. One story that's always captured my imagination is this alleged alien interview footage
Oh, yeah?
called the Victor video.
The Victor video.
So this grainy black and white video, supposedly shot in the 90s,
Okay.
shows a humanoid being, they call him Victor, being interrogated
Okay.
by men in military uniforms. And it's sparked a ton of debate. You know, some people think it's real evidence of alien contact, while others think it's
A hoax.
yeah.
An elaborate hoax.
What's your take? Have you seen this?
Oh, I've seen it. It's one of those things that's both fascinating and frustrating at the same time.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, the imagery is really compelling. You know, Victor has these large dark eyes,
Yeah.
a slender frame,
Right.
kind of this ethereal quality
Yeah.
that fits our like pop culture image of an alien.
Right.
And the way it's filmed, the interrogation format,
Yeah.
with the clinical setting and the detached questioning,
Yeah.
it does kind of
It lends it a sense of authenticity.
a layer of authenticity. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, that's part of the problem.
Right. Yeah.
It's almost too perfect
Right.
in a way.
Yeah.
It's like a scene.
Like it's straight out of a movie.
Yeah, straight out of a movie.
Yeah, and that's one of the arguments against it, right? It's like, well, it's too much like what we expect.
Right.
It's drawing on those existing tropes.
So it's like, is it real or is it fake?
Right.
Is it a genuine leak
Yeah.
or is it a cleverly crafted hoax?
Yeah.
It's tough to say.
It's hard to know.
And that's the frustrating part. There's no clear chain of custody for the video.
Okay.
We don't know where it came from.
Right.
It's difficult to verify.
Right.
Its authenticity.
Yeah.
So we're kind of left in this
Gray area. Yeah.
where it's like,
Where you have to decide for yourself
Yeah.
what you believe.
and that's where we find ourselves a lot with this whole UFO thing. Isn't it?
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
That liminal space
yeah.
between what we think we know
Yeah.
and what we're willing to know.
Right.
And it's in that space, I think,
Yeah.
the real exploration begins.
It's a journey. It requires an open mind.
A willingness to embrace the unknown.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so exciting, right?
He's excited.
We could be on the verge of something big.
Yeah, on the verge of something huge.
Something that changes everything.
Yeah.
It's a possibility worth exploring.
And as we keep digging into these mysteries, I think it's important to remember that the journey itself,
The journey itself
yeah,
is just as valuable as the destination.
it's in the asking of the questions, the challenging of our assumptions,
Yeah.
the expanding of our awareness.
That we grow.
Yeah, that we grow.
So keep exploring.
Mm-hmm.
Keep questioning. Keep an open mind.
Yeah. The truth is out there, but the real adventure is in the seeking.
You know, it's interesting you bring up the Victor video because it really shows how much we want proof,
Yeah.
but how hard it is to get like solid evidence when it
Yeah.
comes to this stuff.
Yeah, we want something like...
We want something we can point to
Yeah.
and say, look, this is it. This is the proof.
Yeah, exactly. Like undeniable proof.
Right.
But
with UFOs, it's almost always
yeah.
unclear. It's
Yeah, there's so much...
There's so much ambiguity
Yeah.
and secrecy.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell.
It's like, where does fact end and fiction begin?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And our minds, they love to fill in those gaps, you know?
Right.
We see something blurry, we hear a story,
Yeah.
and suddenly we're creating whole narratives.
Yeah, we're connecting the dots.
Yeah, we're making connections
Yeah.
that might not even be there.
It's like we're wired to see patterns, right?
Oh.
Even when they don't exist.
Yeah, I mean, we're meaning-making creatures.
Right.
We want to understand the world.
Yeah.
We want to make sense of things.
Yeah. We want to find...
Especially when we're faced with something that we don't understand.
Right.
We try to fit it into
Yeah.
some kind of framework that makes sense to us.
Right. Right. Yeah. Makes it less scary.
Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe.
So that's why critical thinking is so important.
Yeah.
Especially with this topic.
Yeah.
We have to question everything.
Yeah.
Look at things from multiple angles.
Right.
Consider different explanations.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but it's a tricky thing, right? Because
yeah.
you don't want to be so skeptical
Right.
that you dismiss everything.
You close yourself off to possibility.
Yeah, exactly. But you also don't want to be so open-minded
Right.
that you you believe everything you hear.
That you lose your sense of discernment.
Right. So it's this
It's this balance,
Yeah.
this delicate balance
Yeah.
between skepticism and curiosity.
yeah, and I think that's something that we've been trying to do in this deep dive is
Explore both sides.
yeah, explore both sides and
Present the evidence
yeah.
and let people decide for themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's the best way to approach this because there's no easy answers.
There's not.
There's no smoking gun.
Right.
So let's apply that to the Victor video.
Go.
Even if we just like put
Put aside the authenticity question for a second.
what can we learn from it?
Yeah, like what does it tell us about
Yeah.
our fascination with aliens?
Yeah.
Why are we so drawn to this stuff?
Yeah.
Well, I think it speaks to this deep desire that we have
Yeah.
to connect, to know that we're not alone
Right.
in this vast universe.
Right.
And Victor, with those big eyes,
Yeah.
he almost seems to embody that,
Yeah.
like that yearning
Yeah.
for contact, for
Yeah.
knowing.
Yeah.
But there's something else out there that understands us.
It's like he represents the other, right?
Right.
But in a way
That feels kind of
familiar.
yeah, relatable.
Relatable, yeah.
And I think that's what makes it so captivating,
yeah.
because it's tapping into that
primal longing for
Yeah.
something beyond ourselves.
right, yeah, something more.
Something more.
Yeah.
But it also shows our anxieties about the unknown, right?
Right.
I mean, Victor's being interrogated. Yeah.
Which suggests that there's this fear,
Right.
this distrust.
Yeah.
So it's like we're both drawn to
Yeah.
and afraid of
Yeah.
the possibility of encountering
Yeah.
something that's different
Right.
from us.
It's complex.
It's complex. It's a mix of emotions.
Yeah, it's a mix of emotions and it's something that we've seen in so many science fiction stories, right? Like Close Encounters.
Arrival.
Yeah.
So many great stories
Yeah.
that deal with this.
So maybe our fascination with aliens is really just a reflection of our own
Inner conflicts.
Yeah.
Our hopes and fears about ourselves.
And our place in the universe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those themes, they show up in the stories of real people too.
Right.
The people who say they've encountered these things.
Yeah.
Their stories are full
Yeah.
of wonder and fear and this sense of
Right.
the uncanny. And they really challenge our assumptions about what's real and what's not,
They remind us that there's still so much that we don't know.
that we don't understand.
Yeah, and that there are experiences out there that defy explanation.
Exactly.
So I guess that's what makes it so compelling, right?
I think so.
It's this mirror.
Reflecting back
Yeah.
our own sense of wonder,
Yeah.
our desire for knowledge,
Yeah.
our fascination with the unknown,
It's a reminder that we're still exploring.
still discovering,
Yeah.
still trying to figure it all out.
And we may never figure it all out.
We may not.
But the journey is the important part.
The journey is where it's at.
Yeah.
So keep searching,
Keep searching.
keep questioning,
Keep questioning.
keep an open mind.
Yeah, because the truth is out there.
But the real adventure is in the seeking.
Well said.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Let's do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Until next time.
UFO alien disclosure. UFO alien disclosure. UFO alien disclosure. UFO alien disclosure. Let's go.